Hello and welcome to Spotlight Indie. I'm your host, Frasier Armitage, part-time robot, full-time nerd, and joining me as co-host is the amazing Alex Bradshaw. Alex, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing amazing. I'm very excited. It's really excited to be here with you and Adrian.
Yes, Adrian.
Hello.
I usually give like this really big epic introduction to the people that we have on, but I don't think you need one because you are just epic. It's like you bring.
Well, I mean,
it
you
with
and I have so many close ties, anyways. But
yeah,
don't know.
For
Anyways.
anybody who doesn't know Adrian is basically like an absolute gangster in the world of indie authors. He's like I've talked about him as like the Don Corleone of Fungal Punk. He's amazing. So welcome, Adrian.
You're the only one who calls me a gangster, so starting a trend.
Maybe, yeah, man.
Maybe. Yeah. Anyways, I'm the author of Mushroom Blues. That might be backwards for people watching, but if it's not backwards, then great. But if it is, then you can go search it up online. That's my debut novel, first book in the Hoffman Report series, as well as the Fungalverse, which is my shared fictional universe. And I'm also the co-host, creator of SFF Addicts podcast, and I run the Fanfic YouTube channel. So if anyone knows about like Frasier's other, when he's cheating on Indie Spotlight, maybe Indie Spotlight is him cheating on Fanfic Addicts. Anyways, if anyone's familiar with that channel, then you already know me. But hey, I'm glad to be here.
It's a YouTube thruple, me and
there you go.
Spotlight Indie and Fanfic Addict. We are all happily together. Is where we are.
please go subscribe to this thruple. It will make everyone very happy.
Yes. SFF Addicts, man. Like how amazing is that? Are you excited about the special episode that's coming up at Worldcon?
Yeah. I'm not sure when this episode's gonna air, but like, dude, I am just beyond amazed that we've been able to book the guests that we have for that live episode. It's our first ever live episode. I mean, we've done live streams in the past, and live streams are great, and usually we do those with friends, right? But the thing with this episode is like it's our first time doing it in front of an audience, which is one thing in and of itself. But then the organizers, like the program director of Worldcon in Seattle, was basically like, you can pick your guests and your topic. And I was like, okay. And my mind started scheming immediately. So I just kind of went for it. They were basically like, if you see any panelists that are participating in the convention and you don't have a way of contacting them, just let us know. And I scrolled through the Excel spreadsheet that they sent me. I was like, oh, got down to G's. There's Georgie Martin. Let's go. Let's just go for it and ask the writer of A Song of Ice and Fire. And yeah, lo and behold, they put me in contact with his assistant the day after, and then I pitched them on it. And they got back to me 3 weeks later. During that time, I also invited Robin Hobb and Rebecca Roanhorse, who I'd already had contact with beforehand, and they both agreed to take part. Also, like deciding that this whole thing is going to be on Epic Fantasy because there were no panels on Epic Fantasy during this entire convention, which I thought was a travesty. So I aimed to write that as best I could, and then also invited my friend Ryan Cahill to kind of rep like Epic Fantasy on the indie side of things, and I knew he was already coming to the convention and everything as well. And then, yeah, like 3 weeks later, George's assistant got back to me, said he's on board. And then 2 days later, my friend Jackson Dickert, if anyone's familiar with his YouTube interview show, it's kind of like satirical interview show between two perns. And then he also works for Campfire. I just asked him, like, do you mind like connecting me with Dragonsteel to see if we can invite Brandon Sanderson? And so during that time, those 3 weeks, invited those other people, those other authors, got in contact with Dragonsteel. And then one day it was George, and then 2 days later it was Brandon, and I had to call my co-hosts each time and basically be like, you guys are never going to believe this. It's ridiculous. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Epic Fantasy in front of like 1,000 people with George R. Martin and Brandon Sanderson and Robin Hobb and Rebecca Roanhorse and Ryan Cahill, which is just bonkers. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, what I love about it is that the podcast, the SFF Addicts, came about as a way for you to be able to become the indie author that you are.
Mhm.
And it has grown to the point where now it has reached the level where you've got like the biggest names wanting to be featured on it and everything. Did you ever expect that this sort of like little side project that was just there to kind of inform your writing would ever get to the point where you'd be on the main stage at Worldcon?
Definitely not, man, honestly. Because back in those days, I wasn't even sure that I wanted to be an indie author. I was pretty much set on going trad at that point. And then the first like guests that were on the show was Hugh Howey and Duncan Swan talking about self-publishing and SPSFC. And it was like within the first 15 minutes, he was like, yeah, like screw trad, go self. So from the outset, it was kind of like, oh my God, maybe I need to start like not necessarily rethinking things completely, but seeing what other possibilities are out there. Because yeah, my awareness of indie wasn't that strong at that point. And like I definitely didn't think, basically like the week that we're going to be doing this live panel at Worldcon is going to be the 4th anniversary, the 4-year anniversary of the podcast, basically like to the week. So I released the first episode of the podcast in August 9th in 2021. And then we're going to be doing this panel on August 15th, 2025. So it's kind of crazy to see, like, I didn't expect over 4 years, like, I didn't even know if I would still be doing this 4 years in, right? Let alone the fact that it's like grown to the point where it's like, I have been able to talk to some of my like all-time favorite authors, and in some cases like become friends with authors, and in other cases develop like a really strong like sort of acquaintance with a lot of them as well. And then not to mention like publishers and publicists and agents and all those kinds of people. It's definitely beyond my expectations. And there are a lot of ways in which it set me up to be a more successful indie author. But it has also laid a lot of foundations for me to still consider like going hybrid and exploring trad opportunities in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I think for a lot of the Spotlight indie crowd, obviously we love the indie scene. I want to hear about what it was like for you, just like the moment after you realized that you were going to take Mushroom Blues and do it as an indie book, and you were going to release it as an indie. Talk us through what that realization was like and the kind of things that were going on internally at that point, because I think that's a moment that probably a lot of indie authors can probably like relate to, but if you've not reached that moment yet, it would be good for people to know what to expect, right?
Yeah, I mean, in my case, I decided to go indie before I even decided to finish Mushroom Blues, because I've talked about this in the past and other places where Mushroom Blues was basically like I wrote my first novel, finished the first draft, and that was while I was still within like my first year of SFF Addicts. So that's probably like sometime in 2022. Whereas like I think it was like the fall of 2022 where I'd wrapped up that first draft, and I was like, I hated that process. It was terrible because it really sucks to write your first book, honestly, because there's just so many growing pains and there's so many lessons and applications of craft that you never expect until you actually just try to do this thing for the first time. And so I finished that first draft and realized like I need to take a break. And while I was writing that first draft, I'd also outlined like a prequel novella that I was going to write and release as sort of like a reader magnet type thing for my website, for my newsletter. And what ended up happening is I went back and I looked at that reader magnet and was like, okay, I didn't know how to outline at that point. Like this is like, you know, me, I guess like 8 months earlier, didn't know what the hell I was doing. And so I was able to take that outline and realize like, okay, this is 14 chapters. That's stupid. This is not 14 chapters. Like I didn't know how to structure scenes within a chapter at that point. And so I took those 14 chapters and basically just expanded it out to 40 and messed around with it more. And it's like turned the male protagonist into a female protagonist. And that's who became Henrietta Hoffman, who's the main character in Mushroom Blues. And so it was like doing that whole process, doing the first draft of my first novel, basically reworking that outline of that novella that wasn't actually a novella. I was already aware at that point that I wanted to go indie. And so it wasn't really like me finishing Mushroom Blues and thinking like, do I take this trad or do I take this indie? It was very intentional the entire way through that book. And I probably started, I think, like properly writing it in January 2023 and then launched it in March 2024. So it's like a little over a year in terms of like actually starting on the first draft of that book to releasing it. And during that entire process, I already knew, because it was like I was designing the interior of the book. I was working with Felix Ortiz to do the cover art, and then also designing the entire cover of my book myself, whether it comes to typography, whether it comes to the text on the back, like all this different kind of stuff. I had calls with like Ryan Cahill and Rob J. Hayes about like, how do I do this? Basically, like, give me like a sort of like Spark Notes version of being an indie author and like the things that I absolutely have to do. And so it was really intentional the entire way through. I knew I was going to indie publish this book. And I think as a result, my launch and sort of like the intentionality of everything that I did around this book, whether it was like the book tour, whether it was the launch itself, whether it was the post-launch marketing, and everything that I did to just like continually sustain the sales and success and visibility of this book, was benefiting from the fact that I was going through the writing process knowing that this would be an indie book.
I love how you're just so zen and so chill about it. It's just like, yeah, I knew I was going to be an indie. It's all good. It's like, I can't imagine you ever being nervous of like, thinking I've got no safety net here. I'm doing it all by myself. You're just like, yeah, I always knew. It's all good.
Yeah. But then again, it's like, I'm not, when it comes to like all my writing, I'm not banking on it financially. Like I'm a stay-at-home dad, and my wife has a stable job and is able to support the household. And me doing the writing is basically just my passion project and like something that I want to do. And essentially like all I'm sending all my, and that's kind of like money for my kids, like I don't really give a shit how much I earn from this. It's more like if I can put my book out there and people enjoy it and I can continue to put books out there, then awesome. Like the money that I earn from it, I can feed back into the consecutive releases of new books and whatever else, like the audiobook as well. It's just kind of like this feedback loop, like this economic feedback loop in this case. And at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I'm not like desperate. I don't have that fire under me where it's like, if you don't sell books, like your kids don't eat kind of thing, like that kind of desperation. Right. And so I do have the circumstances and the comfort to be able to be chill about it. Right. Whereas not everyone does.
That's really cool. Are you also as chill about the fact that like you have books that Mushroom Blues is like not just in English, that it's been translated into Italian, and it's like, are you just like chill about that as well, or is it a little bit? It's just a tiniest little bit of you going like, yes, like.
Yeah, I think the latter. It's more like an internal, just kind of victory, like, oh yeah, kind of. Because my parents actually, my Italian publisher sent the author copies to my folks up in Canada, and so I'm going to see them in a few weeks. And my mom sent me pictures. I totally forgot to tell them that like the Italian publisher is sending them copies. So my mom just like sends me a picture. She's like, these arrived, and it's just like, I can't read Italian. So I'm like, cool, thank you. But, one of them's for you. So my parents can have like every edition of the book basically. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's kind of like, internal victories, but also I think it's really cool to be able to share those things with like friends in the community and stuff like that. And honestly, the indie community is so supportive. Just in the last few days, it's like BBNYA, which is the Book Bloggers Novel of the Year award, started announcing semifinalists. And I've just seen like a lot of really gracious support between, even if it's like, like I made semifinals, but then a bunch of my friends made semifinals, and it's really nice to be able to share back and forth these congratulations and these heartfelt happy feelings for each other. And I think for the most part, I'm not going to say this is a blanket statement, for the most part the indie community is like that. And so it's kind of nice that everyone can sort of share in victories together, or at least be inspired by what someone else is doing and what kind of levels of success that they're able to achieve, right?
Indie. We love the indies.
It's kind of like what you've been saying before. You sort of make friends with all these different people. So whenever somebody else achieves any sort of modicum of success, it's not really oh man, I wish I'd had that. It's like, oh
Right.
man, my friend's got the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're able to say, oh, that's awesome, well done.
And I think that's kind of a lot of it comes down to a bit of ego, where if you can't celebrate someone else's successes, especially if they're a friend, then that says more about you than anything, right? And so it's been really nice to kind of come up in this community, especially from like the blogging side and the podcasting side, to know that there are very few people that outwardly express competitiveness when it comes to being an author in relation to other authors. From my perspective, it works better, and it's a more symbiotic relationship when it's not competition, it's community, and it's collaboration, and people are able to kind of like lift each other up, as opposed to like, I'm going to climb this ladder and like step on your toes and your face on my way up, right? It doesn't really work well if you project that to the other people in the community. If they view you as someone who's like, maybe don't do anything with that person because they're quite antagonistic and they're quite difficult to work with, or lo and behold, this person is an asshole, and different things like that. It is much more beneficial to be in a community where people are happy for each other and they're boosting each other up. And it doesn't have to be all sunshine and roses all the time. You can share your difficulties with your friends and share the hurdles that you're trying to overcome, but at the same time, you can genuinely express joy for them when they achieve success.
What you're basically saying is that the indie community, each author is like a mushroom. There might be some mushrooms that grow, more beautiful than others, but they're all part of the same network, right? It's all part of the same organism. It's like when one grows, it feeds us all. It's like,
yeah. Frasier's just like, damn it, I turned out to be a cleft cap or something like that.
Oh man, I would be the ugliest mushroom, right? You
would be a beautiful mushroom. You would be a beautiful mushroom. Maybe some loose gills or something, but
That's it. It's going to be my new tagline: Frasier Armitage, part-time robot, full-time nerd, loose gills.
Loose gills.
Yeah.
And once again, people will be very confused. Are you a fish?
Yeah.
They wouldn't even go to mushroom first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if Mushroom Blues were a mushroom, Adrian, what mushroom would it be?
Probably just because of color, like a blue oyster mushroom, for sure. Because that's also the kind of mushroom that I grew from the book last year.
Yeah.
Because I was just like trying to be, sort of fitting in that regard. And honestly, like blue oyster mushrooms are not that blue. They're more like kind of like brownish gray with like a hint of blue in there. But yeah, I think a blue oyster mushroom, because then you can also eat it. It's like, for me, if it's edible as well, that's just a plus.
Yes. Yeah, anything that's edible. Why don't they make edible books? That would be amazing.
Because then you couldn't share with your friends.
Technically edible, is that what you just said?
Technically edible, yes.
Yeah,
Technically, yes.
With the right attitude.
Yeah. With the right digestive system.
Yeah. With enough sauce. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this wood pulp is delish. Yum yum.
Yes.
A hint of ink.
What was it like to eat your book, Adrian? Because you grew mushrooms from it, and then you ate the mushrooms, right?
Yeah.
So what was?
It was honestly like pretty normal.
Yeah.
yeah.
Average Tuesday, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, the mushroom didn't taste any different than it normally does. You know, it was a little bit peppery, but then again, blue oyster mushrooms are. And
True.
yeah, I just like sauteed it in garlic and butter and salt. Had it with the steak. It was delicious.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing. I'm so happy for you, man. It's just congratulations for everything, because this book has had so much love, and it deserves it. You know what you've brought to the community and the passion you bring. It's just, I'm so happy that you've been getting the reaction from the community that you deserve, because it's just, I know how much you've worked for it, and it's, yeah, seeing behind the scenes, having the privilege of getting that little glimpses that you got to share with us over at the Vampire Edit blog. Man, it's just been such a wild ride. It's like, but you're rocking it, man. I just love it.
I appreciate that. See, that's the indie love, man. That's the indie love.
Yeah. We've been talking for a little while, but I don't feel like we truly like know you, Adrian. I feel like what we need is like a list of questions which we can use to like pierce into like the fabric of your soul. And I feel like it's time for Roll for Insight. I feel like do you feel like it's time for Roll for Insight, Alex?
Yeah, I think so. We've skated the surface so far, and now we really need to dig in.
Okay. I've got an online D20, so
amazing.
I'm ready to roll.
Perfect.
So basically, what we do in this game, Adrian, is we let the dice decide our destinies. That's the way it works. So you roll, and then I will ask you a question. And this question is they range from the sublime to the even more sublime. So when you are ready, my friend, roll.
All right, let's see. Let's go here. We got an 11.
We got an 11. Do you know what? Like 11 is a popular number.
That's not like I chose it, but like it's a popular number for fate.
It's a popular number, right? Here's a question that will actually, this is, I'd say about it's revealing, but this is actually a revealing question. So, what's your favorite gaming console of all time and why?
Ooh, definitely the N64. I just have so many fond memories of that one. That was the first console that I mean, me and my brother shared it. It was like a shared Christmas present. But that was the first console I ever got as a Christmas present. And right off the bat, we were just like rolling in like Super Mario Bros. 64, Super Smash Bros.
Yeah.
What was it? Mario Kart. There were like amazing like Pokemon games, GoldenEye, all this different kind of stuff. So it's just like for me, I have so many fond memories of playing that console. And then also playing that console at friends' houses. You know, we'd bring our cartridges over and just like blow in that shit because it wasn't working properly. Or you just did it because like it became like a reflex. Before you even started a game, just like give it a little bit of spit and go for it. But I remember one of my best friends growing up, he lived on a farm. And the loft of the barn, they basically routed like extension cords over there and turned the loft of the barn into like a gaming den. So they had like couches and beanbag chairs, and then they had a CRT TV with N64. And so I remember just like, yeah, like all my friends had it. Me and my brother would play it all the time. It was fantastic.
Block fort in like battle mode on Mario Kart 64.
Yeah.
Those 3 balloons and those blocks, those 4 color blocks. Man, that was like, that's the pinnacle of gaming. I absolutely love the N64. I didn't realize how intimate the blow was, right? Until I bought my very first ever second-hand N64 cartridge. And I went to go and blow it, and I was like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, it was really strange.
Oh my god, it's like buying a secondhand car and there's like a weird smell in it.
Exactly right. Yeah,
I don't know what to do about this,
it's like I went to blow and I was like, but someone's blown in this before me. Like, how do I feel about that? This is straight. It's
I mean, who cares about your feelings? How does the cartridge feel?
No, right?
You know?
I know. Yeah,
on,
it's
man.
like it's gotten used to this like particular ratio of breath and saliva, and then here I come along, like, yeah. Alex,
bringing all your new mouth bacteria in here, messing with my ecosystem.
Yeah, it's like it's no wonder those games froze, right?
Yeah, exactly. We blew in them too much.
Alex, what about you? What was your favorite gaming console of all time?
I'm probably going to go with the 360, the Xbox 360, purely because that was my friends and I would, play that the most when we were sort of, late teens and after school, or way too late in the evening and stuff like that. So that was the first proper LAN parties we had, right? Everyone dragging their Xbox 360s over to my house. We had, 2 upstairs, 2 downstairs. And that was always the fun when we were playing like Gears of War on the LAN, and then somebody kills you from upstairs, and then they go to stand at the top of the stairs and swear at you from upstairs and say, "Yeah, that's right," and then just disappear again. So I think purely for those kind of nostalgia reasons, I feel like it's similar reasons for why you picked this N64, Adrian, as well.
But just like at an age where it's a bit more visceral.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was sticking with the Gears of War LAN. It was the best moments were, I'm not sure how familiar you both are with Gears of War, but there was a bow in it, weapon in it called the torque bow. And if you hit somebody with it, it would take like 2 seconds and then they would explode, basically. It was an explosive, like crossbow kind of thing. So it was just long enough that you would hear people on like the chat on there. If once they died, you couldn't hear them anymore. So it would hit them and then you could just hear, "Oh, for fuck." And then they would explode and die, and then you'd hear them swear from upstairs. So it was just the perfect amount of of delay.
I love that.
Yeah, I remember the 360.
Some deep satisfaction there.
Exactly.
I've still yet to complete the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64. I'm in adult Link in the Shadow Temple. I have not faced off against Ganondorf. I've been waiting decades to do it, and one of these days,
if it's taken this long, like, it's not going to happen until you start playing with your son.
Yes, exactly.
That's the only way it's going to happen.
Yeah. So. Yeah. He's going to do it. He's going to finish it. And I'm going to be like, no!
No, man, you got to be proud. He's going to be like, "This one's for you, Dad." Except like he's going to say it in like a little British boy voice. So, "This one's for you, Dad." And then there's Frasier just like melting,
Yeah. Totally. Just you sound a lot. That's a perfect spot on JoJo impression, Adrian. That is amazing. I love it.
No, he'd probably say, "Daddy."
Yeah. Okay, Alex.
That's not wrong.
It's ready to roll.
Oh, 13.
Dude, I rolled and I got 13 too. Just
Fate is very consistent today.
Very consistent.
Yeah. Right. Oh no, Adrian, you were 11. 11 was the roll for you.
No, but I just rolled again just for shits.
Oh, just now?
And I got 13. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, hang on, wait there. 7.
You ruined it, Frasier. You ruined it.
Sorry.
You should have even tried.
Okay. Which cartoon or kids' TV show character comes closest to being your spirit animal?
Ooh. Damn, this is a good one. Oh my God, this is so difficult. Actually, like I've thought of, this is like not my external spirit animal, but like my internal spirit animal is probably Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory. Because he's like outwardly I'm quite an extrovert and like happy to hang out with people and everything like that. But then when I have those moments where I'm like, I don't want to see anybody, like I start to become like obsessive and everything like that. I'm like Dexter working in his lab and getting really upset when his sister just comes and like starts messing stuff up. That's like me when I'm like obsessing over a project and then like my kids interrupt me. Like Dexter's definitely, he's like my internal spirit animal.
I love it. Dee.
Exactly. Such a good show, man. Such a good show.
Oh man, I love it. In Dexter's Lab. Man.
So good. 90s.
You've got a
90s
great
were a
theme
good time.
tune. Great theme tune there, Adrian, as well. Yeah, love it.
Thank you.
What about you, Alex?
There's so many to pick from. I feel like I'm going to go with a Pokemon with Poliwhirl because he's, he can be active, but also he probably just likes to lie down.
Yeah.
Just like have a bar. I feel like that's
I'm a lethargic Pokemon.
yeah, exactly. Like it kind of bit, kind of, he can stand up and run around a bit, but mostly just wants to not do that.
Man, I think Snorlax is my Pokemon of my heart. Like the guy just sleeps and somehow wins. Like that's like that to me is the best. And does anybody remember Earthworm Jim?
Yeah, Earthworm Jim is great. Yeah.
Man, Earthworm Jim.
Actually, I didn't watch the show as much as I played the video game.
Yeah,
there was like a side-scrolling Earthworm Jim video game. I think there were probably multiple of them, but yeah, that's like mostly my experience with Earthworm Jim.
I have yet to complete my Earthworm Jim PC game from the 90s.
Jojo, where you at, man?
That's where we find out you've never completed any game.
It's a miracle that you've released. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh man, I love Earthworm Jim so much. Like just the fact that like he's the most useless and yet also the most brilliant of all the superheroes. He's just the best. I love it. And also I love the word groovy. It's such a good word, right? Anyway, I rolled a 7, so
he's just moving away from your.
Wait, let me see. Let me roll. What did I get? Oh, I got a 6. Okay.
Close though.
I'll tell you what.
All right.
Here's the questions, right, for 7 and 6, and this will be our last round. Okay, you can choose which you want to answer, Adrian, or maybe you might want to answer both. Question 7, right? Because we threw in some questions just because we knew you were coming. So what's the weirdest fact about mushrooms that you wish more people knew? And question 6, do you have a party trick or secret talent? And if so, what is it?
I can answer both. Party trick or secret talent, I definitely do not have one. I'm not the kind of person that just like rolls up to a party and just like, I don't know, starts like performing for everybody. Just like, I have a trench coat and it's full of mushrooms. So no party trick, unfortunately. And then weirdest fact about mushrooms. I mean, man, there's so many. I can just throw out like some quick fire ones because it's like, within like the evolution of the earth, some of the earliest life forms that developed on land were actually like proto fungi. So like imagine like, I can't remember exactly what they're called, but imagine like giant phallus looking fungi that are like, as tall as a house kind of thing. But it's like these weird organisms that, evolved over time and eventually became fungi or like branched off into fungi or whatever. So there's that. There's the fact that like fungi can survive out in space, like molds and certain kinds of fungi can survive out in the vacuum of space and basically like, eat a spaceship from the inside out. Who knew that like, an organism from Earth would turn out to be one of the bigger problems being out in space? Be like, the insulation on a space station or a spaceship is super important, but fungi are basically like, we'll eat anything. So let's just start eating this, which is really cool because fungi are able to eat so much. The fact that like I've actually seen it with my own eyes in the Ecuadorian Amazon of certain types of fungi that because back in the 70s, Chevron, I don't know if it's still Chevron, which is like an oil company from the States, basically got a contract to drill in the Amazon jungle in Ecuador. And what they ended up doing was they were doing like basically like spot drilling, like we're going to like drill here and here and here and here. And what ended up happening is like these different hotspots just became like incredibly polluted. And so you'd have these like little pockets of devastation, basically like pockmarking the Amazon jungle. And eventually like Chevron had to leave. And there have actually been like lawsuits and different kinds of stuff against Chevron by indigenous communities in Ecuador because of the devastation that they wrought. And so if you go there now, like there's still basically like like leakage, so to say. So you can see like where their equipment was and basically like the leftovers of their projects in the Amazon, and their fungi around that basically have like evolved around these little pockets to consume raw petroleum, like crude oil, basically. And so you can see it's like this like mushroom that is like slick with petroleum, you know, because it's kind of like it's consuming it, but it's also kind of like excreting. And so it's like, you know, that kind of luminescence that you have on gasoline. If you see just like a puddle of gasoline, there's like this weird sheen on the mushrooms and everything like that. So, you know, they can eat anything basically if they can adapt to it.
That's amazing. Oh man, I'm so glad we asked those questions. It's so cool. Can
that count as my party trick? Is like
this? I was about to say, right? I was about to say last time when you released Mushroom Blues and we did our interview for the Frasier Addict channel on YouTube, I threw out like mushrooms that some were made up, some were real, and you got them right. Every single one, like you were like, "Yep, that's a mushroom," and then like, "No, that one's not a mushroom." Like, so
but some of the names you came up with, it was like, I wish that was a mushroom.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if you find like these in Ecuador, if they evolve into a new thing of mushroom, we can spitball some names. Yeah,
I feel like there'd be like some fun, you know. I don't know. Like I feel like fantasy names would be super applicable to like a kind of mushroom. Be like a fawn's hoof, you know. It's just like some weird shit like that.
Yeah.
It's like Mr. Tumnus's toes.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be so good, because that's like, that was, if you might saw that in a recipe, like you need 3 Mr. Tumnus's toes.
And that unlucky person who's like lives in like a village in the UK and it's just like Mr. Tumnus down the street.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I've got to go into the back of the wardrobe, get the fawn, cut his toes off. Like, no, it's a mushroom.
Got to wait until he's sleeping.
It's like, oh, are you back in Narnia? Slice.
We end on a dark note.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Have you got any party tricks, Alex?
No. I'm now reeling from the thought of, I don't know, butchering Mr. Tumnus. What? So no, my party trick at the moment is being shaken by a beloved children's character, you know, on the barbecue apparently.
Mr. Tumnus. Mr. Tumnus's toes with a side of Turkish delight.
Yeah. On ice. Oh man, that's amazing. That's what we'll have to call it. We'll have to call this episode, like, you know, Mr. Tumnus's toes, and we'll just see what happens, right? Like, but thank you for being here with us, Adrian. Thank you for sharing some aspects of your indie author experience, because I think indie authors are amazing creatives, and it's just so nice to be able to have this community, and your part in it is such a massive part of it. So on behalf of all of Spotlight Indie, thank you so much for what you bring and what you do, because it's awesome.
Thank you guys too.
You
also got to see my like manic side, but
yeah.
But it's also me hanging out with Frasier in particular, so he brings out the best in me.
For anybody who wants to find you, if they haven't found you already, where can they reach you?
Yeah, you can find me anywhere at SFF Addicts Pod for the podcast, or Adrian M Gibson for me, just like on any social media platform. And then you can check out my website, adrianmgibson.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. You can check out the podcasts pretty much anywhere, but it's on video on Spotify and YouTube, over on the Fanfatic YouTube channel. And then you can go check out Mushroom Blues, which is available everywhere and in any format that you want. So audiobook, ebook, paperback, hardcover, Kindle Unlimited. So it's all there for you all to enjoy.
And Italian.
Yeah, and Italian. If you're in Italy, go check it out. Yeah.
Mate, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Alex, where can people find you and Spotlight Indie?
You can find me at Alex S. Bradshaw, wherever I happen to be, which is most places. And similarly, Spotlight Indie. Go find Spotlight Indie, spotlightindy.co.uk, and Instagram and Facebook and Bluesky and all those places. Spotlight at Spotlight Indie. So come check us out, and we'll show you more amazing indies like Adrian and all of our friends.
Awesome. And you'll know where to find me. Next time, Adrian is going to be showing us that there is no such thing as a stupid question, which is going to be awesome.
I mean, if you get to the end of this, then you already know the answer is there isn't a stupid question. So
yeah,
prepare yourself for more.
But until then, keep creating and just keep awesome. And we'll see you the next time on Spotlight Indie.